Hi, my name is Katie, and today I'll be leading this workshop on finding balance. So, the purpose of this workshop is to help you find out what's important to you and how to make time, manage your time for those different priorities. I will admit this is something that I struggle with a lot as a PhD student. It's really hard to make time for everything, but today we're going to talk about making time for what's important to you. So, first, just take a moment and consider maybe some advice that you would give a friend about time management. And then think about advice that you personally have gotten about time management. So, did that work? Why? Why not? Think about how you might talk to your friend about time management, given the advice that you've received, and what that means to you. So take a moment and just kind of think about those questions, and we'll come back. So here we have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So he actually believed that eventually, maybe it's kind of a question people go back and forth, that we can eventually reach this place of self-actualization, which is reaching someone's full potential. But as you can see, this is a pyramid. And so the building blocks underneath that are really important to get to that goal. So, first, people need to have some of these physiological needs, so like food and water. Then they have to have safety needs, so they have to be in a place where they feel safe and secure. Love and belonging is also really important. So, a relationship with others, and then some esteem needs there. So, just feeling accomplished and um, having a good understanding of yourself and what you need. So, these are really important to think about when we're talking about time management. So, have you ever tried to study when you were hungry? How hard is that to concentrate when you know that you're starving, maybe even you need sleep? All of these things are really important before you can ever get to that place of reaching your full potential. So here we have a Venn diagram representing our values and our time. So it's important to recognize that we make time for what we value. So we have our priorities and we have a limited amount of time. We can't do everything we want to do. But it's important to recognize that these kind of go hand in hand. And today we're going to really talk about how you might be able to balance your values with the limited amount of time that you have. It's also important to note that these aren't static, they do change over time, and that's totally normal for your values to continually change with every season of your life. So here we have kind of this understanding of the Socratic questioning method, where you're asking someone, but why, but why, but why? So this is a really great example to uncover our values. So maybe you say, why do you go to school? Because I want a good job. But why? Because I want to provide for my family. Okay, but why? You can keep going down that rabbit hole until you really uncover those values that you have. So, whenever you eventually can not say why anymore, that's where your values are. So, like for me, I know my family is really important to me, and I always try to make time for them, even whenever I'm busy. I try to prioritize them over school whenever I possibly can. So it's important for you personally because it's different for everyone to be able to figure out what those values are and what they really mean. So now we're actually going to complete a values exploration exercise just to get you thinking about what those core values really are for you. So there is a worksheet. It's called the Incomplete Values Sentences worksheet. And on there, they actually have these different values, and just try to answer them with the first thing that comes to your mind. So the first one says, if I had $1 million, I would, for me, buy my parents a house. So kind of go through those list of those 12 sentences and fill them in. with your thoughts. So I'll give you a few minutes to complete that and then we'll come back together. Okay, I hope that was really good for you to uncover some of those values if you hadn't already thought about them and start to realize where maybe you want to allocate your time. So, here we actually have a hierarchy of goals. So, you actually kind of started broad here at the lifetime. So, what's important to you over your life? Like, what is, I don't know, just what you're prioritizing, your biggest values. And then you can kind of get into more, these concrete spaces. So, what do I need to do in the next year to get there? Do I need to do in the next month to get there? The next week, even. So, being able to kind of create these concrete goals can help you prioritize what matters to you. So, now we're going to talk just a little bit about SMART goals. So, think to yourself just for a minute, maybe jot down a couple ideas. What is a SMART goal? Do you know what a SMART goal is? Have you ever heard of it? I know personally, I've talked to undergraduate students about this a lot, just because it really is a good way to kind of highlight different goals and set goals that are going to be appropriate, manageable, and hopefully bring you good outcomes. So, SMART stands for specific, measurable, action oriented, realistic, and time defined. And it's important to note that these are always consistent with our values. So, specific goal might be to stop smoking. You can make it measurable by saying that you want to, only smoke one cigarette a day or something like that, just to bring yourself down to smoking less. And then that can actually lead to you taking certain actions. So maybe you go see a nutritionist or a doctor or something like that. Then be sure to make it realistic and time defined. So giving yourself an appropriate amount of time to meet that goal of stopping smoking, for example. Being a better person is a little bit more difficult. You've really got to think more specific. So, how can you be a better person? So, maybe, for example, you do one nice thing for people or someone every day. Um, just thinking about it um, in terms of making it just more realistic in general is super important. Here are some other ones that just are some good examples. And if you want to, you can actually take a minute on your own and think about something specific that you would like to change in your life and make a SMART goal out of it and just kind of see what you get. So I'll give you 1 minute to do that and then we'll come back. Okay, so I hope you came up with some really great SMART goals to help you just take the step in the right direction for what you're truly wanting. So, here are some steps to actually implement those goals. So, initial stress reduction. What makes it better? What makes it worse? So, how we set goals means that we're prioritizing our time in a way that prioritizes these goals. So now that we have these goals, how do we rearrange our lives in a way that allows us to meet those goals in a semi-balanced way? So we don't want to make this like goal our whole entire life, since we do have these values back here that are really important to us that we want to make sure that we're balancing. But some of these steps, so what's going to make it better? What's going to make it worse? Clarity. Oh my gosh, that's so important. So, do you have a clear understanding of the goal and the value that you're meeting? A support system. So, having some accountability, going to friends, letting them know what your goals are, and asking them for some support, asking them for some help. I know it takes a lot of humility to ask for help, but it's a really important skill to learn. And it's so nice when you have people behind you who are backing you up. And then actions. So, measuring your progress. If you don't meet your goals, you reevaluate. If you do meet your goals, you celebrate. That's always a great way to just show that you're proud of yourself and share that with others as well. So, here are some just questions that you might ask yourself as you're setting your goals. So, what do you mean by doing better? What does it mean to do better? We say that a lot. That's actually like a really common phrase. I just need to do better. But what does that mean? And just really making that more specific. Um, how would your life be different when you achieve your goals? That's like the magic question right there. So, what are you hoping to get out of this? And then how does your goal fit into your life values? Ugh, that's such a powerful one. So even being in school, going to college, how does that fit into your life and what's important to you? What resources do you need or do you have that can help you? What might get in the way? Different obstacles might get in the way of achieving your goal. How do you know you're going to get closer to your goal? So, what's going to be that first step, and what do you need to take the first step? And when I watch you become successful, what would I see? So, if I, as the outsider, am seeing you meet these goals and becoming successful, what am I going to see you do? It's just a really interesting question to think about, how we want others to view us while we're doing this. So, for example, maybe if you want to start running, maybe that's your idea of doing better. How might your life be different when you start running? How does this fit into your life values? What kind of resources or things do you need to um, get into running in general? And what are some of the obstacles that might get in the way of your goals? Like for me, it might be motivation. And then just making these steps. This first step, even, is just like putting on the shoes and getting out the door, which is the hardest part. And then just thinking about what that success might look like. Okay, so now we are going to complete a goal setting exercise. So, how we set goals means we are organizing our time in a way that prioritizes these goals, right? I've said that before, I'll say it again, it's really important. So, now that we have these goals, we've started with our values, we went in, we got our SMART goals. How do we arrange our lives in a way that continues to meet them? And I know I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. It's so important to think about how we're balancing our time and balancing what's important to us. So now what we're going to do is we're going to complete the goal setting worksheet. And basically, that is just helping you again. You're going to go back, you're going to identify your values, set a SMART goal. We've done this together. But then I want you to actually, move to step 3 and identify some of the benefits, some of the obstacles, maybe your concerns, your fears. And then in step 5, you actually can make a commitment. So research has shown, according to this worksheet, that if you make a public commitment to your goal, then you're more likely to follow through with it. So think about, what that commitment means to you, how you can hold yourself accountable, or in what ways can you hold yourself accountable, and really just take a few minutes to take this in, because I think it's a really important worksheet for just getting into, again, those values, those goals, what's important to us, and how we can commit to action. So I'm going to leave you for a few minutes. Go ahead and complete this worksheet, and then we'll come back together. Okay, so we're almost done. This is just really just a joke. But this is how like crappy time management feels like. It's like I don't know if you've ever started a project on Word and you spend so much time, like just even writing a paper, you're like, okay, I got to get into APA format. You got your heading, your title page, all of that takes so long, and then you don't even start writing your paper until a few hours later. Well, this is what this pie chart is kind of representing. It's like you're making the pie chart, you're labeling it, you're coloring it, doing useful stuff is very slim. And so I think that's just a fun way and a realistic way to think about when we do start, doing projects, doing things that are important to us. It does take a long time, and sometimes it does take a while for our motivation to get here. But I hope that that worksheet you just completed helps you think about your commitment and really make you feel motivated today. So, finally, I'm going to leave you with some tips because I believe in you and I know that you can manage your time well and do what's important to you in a timely manner. So, here's some tips. Complete most important tasks first. So, if you have something, especially if it's like time sensitive. So, if you have a project due in 2 weeks, but you have this like reflection due tomorrow, go ahead and get the reflection out of the way, and then break up your project into steps. So you can also batch related tasks together. If you're in your kitchen already washing dishes, like go ahead and wipe down your kitchen counters really fast. Just like get it all done really fast. I also, a lot of times, I will say if it takes 15 minutes or less, do it now. So delineate a time limit. So I'm going to give myself 15 minutes. I'm just going to clean whatever I can in my kitchen. So just being able to do what you can in a limited amount of time. I know for me, it makes me feel a little bit more motivated. I'm going to do as much as I can in this 15 minutes and try to get it done. Build in those rewards and those breaks. So, say you're going to study for 1 hour, take a couple. I mean, take a couple 2-minute breaks to get up and go get a drink of water. Anything that you can do to give yourself a bit of a break. And also build in those rewards. So if you're at the library for an hour, stop downstairs at Starbucks and get yourself a Frappuccino before you leave. Anything that you can do to reward yourself will help you later on and make you more confident going into it. Leave a buffer of time. So again, going back to that pie chart, it takes us a while to get into a task, get into that flow. So make sure you give yourself plenty of time. So even though I'm recording this workshop and it should only take me about 15 minutes, I'm going to give myself like an hour because I'm sure there are going to be times where I like screw up and have to go back. And so just giving yourself plenty of time to work through things. Don't think of the totality of your to-do list. So I don't know if you're like me, but I have a sticky note on my laptop just full of things that I need to do. Don't think about it like that. Divide it up maybe by days. So like today I'll get through these 2 things on my to-do list. Tomorrow maybe I'll tackle that other stuff. That way it doesn't feel overwhelming and like you have to do everything that day before you go to bed. Do something during waiting time. So, if you're kind of in that midst of not being able to do something right now, do something to kind of distract yourself or do something that can be productive in that limited amount of time. So if I've got 15 minutes before I got to leave, but I'm already ready, maybe I will, organize my spice cabinet in my kitchen. I don't know, just something that you can do in that time that can help you be productive, can be quite motivating. And lastly, this is where I'll leave you because it's the most important. Remember why you're doing it. So remember why you're here. Remember what's important to you. Go back to those values. Why? That is the most important question that you can always go back to. If there's someone or something you're doing it for, you can always keep that in the back of your mind. Make that your screensaver if it's a certain person or, certain job that you want to get to, for example, make it your screensaver. No one's judging you. Just remember that to always keep you motivated and always remember why you're doing it. So thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope that you really found this to be helpful and that you can start forming your own goals, committing to them, and seeing some action over time. So I believe in you. I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself too for completing this workshop. So have a great rest of your day and look forward to seeing you soon.